This story begins at 11:57 p.m. My phone lit up, and in that single second, 12 years of marriage began to collapse. The bedroom was dark except for the pale glow of the city skyline bleeding through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Manhattan apartment. Isabella was in the shower. I remembered the exact vibration of her phone against the marble nightstand. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't suspicious. Not yet. But when the screen lit up, a name appeared with a red heart beside it. Adrian, miss you already. Have you ever felt your world crack quietly before it shattered loudly? That was the moment. Before I go further, if stories like this move you, challenge you, or make you reflect on your own life, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Some stories deserve witnesses, and this one changed everything. My name is Daniel Okafo, corporate strategist. Tailored suits, skyline boardrooms, calculated decisions. From the outside, my life looked curated to perfection. Isabella and I were what people called a power couple. She was magnetic, bold, elegant, always ahead of the next fashion trend. Isabella at DME, as a fashion consultant, turned sidewalks into runways. At rooftop parties, she glowed under string lights, laughing in silk dresses while I stood beside her in custom suits. We were photographed, admired, envied. But perfection is often a performance. Somewhere between promotions and product launches, between fashion weeks and investor dinners, something shifted. Distance doesn't arrive loudly. It settles in quietly. We began eating dinner with our phones in hand. Conversations shortened. Laughter became polite. When was the last time we truly looked at each other? I honestly couldn't remember. She had late client meetings, fashion events that ran past midnight, after parties with photographers and stylists. I trusted her completely. Trust is powerful like that. It blinds you gently. But what happens when trust is misplaced? The late-night messages increased. Smiles at her screen, locked phone, midnight showers. I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself successful couples go through phases, but that midnight message refused to leave my mind. I shouldn't have checked her phone, but I did. And sometimes curiosity destroys illusions. Photos, messages, hotel confirmations, conversations that were intimate, dangerous, explicit. Her laughter in those pictures wasn't forced. It was alive. She looked younger somehow, lighter. And the man beside her, Adrian Mensah, confident, stylish, the kind of man who had time. Have you ever compared yourself to a stranger and lost? The location was shared in their messages. Boutique hotel downtown, 12:30 a.m. My hands trembled as I grabbed my keys. The city outside was neon and indifferent, taxis streaking past like nothing in the world had changed, but mine had. I reached the hotel entrance just as the revolving door spun. And there she was, in his arms. They weren't arguing. They weren't confused. They were close, familiar. His hands rested confidently at her waist. She tilted her head slightly, smiling. Then their lips met, slowly, intentionally. Not the awkwardness of something new, the comfort of something practiced. In that moment, I didn't feel anger. I felt erased. Should I confront them or disappear quietly like I never existed? Instead, I followed them upstairs, room 1708. My heart pounded so loudly I thought the hallway could hear it. I knocked. The door opened. Isabella stood there in a silk dress, hair slightly messy, lipstick faded. Her eyes widened in shock. Behind her, Adrian Mensah appeared, shirt partially unbuttoned, athletic build. Daniel, I can explain.
Explain what? The lies, the deception, the nights I slept alone believing she was building her career? She stepped forward and reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Do you fight for love when it betrays you, or walk away with dignity? She confessed it wasn't about love. It wasn't him replacing you, she said through tears. It was me feeling invisible. And maybe I hadn't truly seen her in years. But betrayal is still betrayal. Loneliness doesn't excuse deception. I removed my wedding ring and placed it gently on the hotel dresser. I didn't scream. I didn't insult her. I simply walked out. The city looked different that night. Same streets, same skyscrapers, but I wasn't the same man. I drove aimlessly, watching reflections blur across the windshield. How do you return to a place that no longer feels like home? By morning, she was sitting on our couch waiting. No makeup, no performance, just honesty. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. Intentions don't erase actions. I asked her one question. When did we stop choosing each other? She didn't blame me. She didn't blame him. She blamed distance. But distance doesn't book hotel rooms. Choices do. Could love survive this, or had it ended long before midnight? That afternoon, we called a lawyer. Calm voices, adult decisions, broken hearts. Isabella surprised me. She didn't beg. She didn't collapse. She stood strong. Pain can break a woman or refine her. We divorced quietly. No public scandal, no dramatic social media posts. Just signatures and silence. I moved into a smaller apartment across town. Less glass, more solitude. At night, the quiet screamed louder than any argument we ever had. But heartbreak has a strange gift. It forces you to meet yourself again. I started therapy, something I once dismissed as unnecessary. Was I emotionally absent? Successful but unavailable? Growth hurts, but stagnation destroys. Which pain would you choose? I began waking before sunrise, jogging along the river, feeling the city breathe with me. I put my phone away during conversations. I listened, really listened. Across the city, Isabella rebuilt too. She ended things with Adrian, not for me, but for herself. She told me months later over coffee. I needed attention, but I needed integrity more. She launched her own fashion label. Fearless designs, bold statements. She spoke at women's empowerment events about accountability and self-worth. She didn't paint herself as a victim. She owned her mistake. That's strength. We weren't enemies, just two people who lost alignment. Can love transform even after betrayal? Maybe not into romance, but into respect. Months passed. The city kept moving. So did we. I met someone new. Slowly, carefully. This time, I didn't rush. I didn't assume. I chose presence over performance. I listened more than I spoke. And when I held her hand, it wasn't out of habit. It was intention. Isabella flourished in her independence. Watching her from a distance, I felt something unexpected. Pride. Sometimes losing a marriage helps you find yourself. We didn't fail. We evolved separately. And that midnight discovery? It wasn't the end. It was a wake-up call. Love requires presence, not just promises. Honesty, even when it hurts, is the only foundation that lasts. Because sometimes love doesn't end from hate, it ends from silence. If this story made you reflect on your own relationships, on communication, on presence, on integrity, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more powerful, real stories to life. Choose truth, choose courage, choose growth, and never let silence speak louder than love.